Welcome to AGAPE Social Justice, where we focus on love, truth, and justice. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Rick TV. And one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because I've had a ton of people ask me, what is Rick TV? Stephanie, do you have a podcast? I don't understand what it is that you do. So I am going to interview today one of the co-founders of Rick TV so that you all can understand how it got started, what this is all about, and where we're going in the future. So let's welcome Chris Crawford with us today.
Whoa.
Don't get stiff now that you're not behind the camera and you're on here with me.
To our viewing audience, I'm usually behind this camera. I'm meant to be behind, not seen. So,
No,
be here today.
no, I'm so glad you did agree. I had to pull you in a little bit, do a little nudge and a headlocking, but I'm glad that you decided to join us.
Wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay.
And how you got started, because I actually think it's very inspiring and incredible to hear your story about, what happened during the pandemic that led us to where we are today. So, who's Chris?
Actually, it happened excuse me. It happened a little bit before the pandemic.
Okay.
Where after the pandemic. So, I believe I had the vision. I was watching television and I was actually watching, I don't want to name these certain networks, but there's a lot of networks that are owned by people other than people of color that's controlling our narrative.
Okay.
So I wanted to create a station, it's a Christian community radio station. So basically, television station. So basically it's more of a public kind of television / Christian station for people who really don't have big budgets to get on, a mainstream station. But I want to control the narrative of the African American community. I want to hire African Americans. I want to have our shows and depict us as, we are and not what another culture, say we are.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And Rick TV stands for what?
Real Internet Christian Community TV.
Well, and how did you come about that name?
I just thought of it. It just came up. Rick, I'm just always been a creative person. And at first it was Christian Community, which was CCTV. But as you know, that, CC is, like closed caption. So I couldn't really get that name, with the domain. And I just put RI CC, which one of the co-owners is Rick Williams. So really, to tell you the full story of it, it's RI Rick CC Chris Crawford.
Ah, okay.
That's where I was writing those acronyms down, but I was like, well, most stations use, their people's name, like radio stations. So I'm just gonna, change it to what it is. This is my audience and my base is Real Internet Christian Community TV. So it's Real Internet Christian Community TV.
Okay.
So that's the true story behind it.
Okay. So pre-pandemic, you had this vision. So then fast forward, how do you partner with Rick Williams, who, by the way, I feel like is, I don't know, he's a mystery, right? He's a pastor, he's a DJ, he can sing.
He's a shrimp boat captain. Yeah, Rick is he's a president of the Roadmasters Corvette Club.
Yes.
Rick wears a lot of hats. Rick's very popular. He's also a CPL instructor.
And
that's how I met him.
Sheriff, deputy, or something like that?
I'm not, something in law enforcement.
Yes.
I'm not sure. But he's also a CPL instructor. And a mutual friend of ours introduced him to me, and he wanted to become do the CPL training as to become an instructor, because I am a training counselor, so I can instruct instructors to, instruct.
Okay.
So he came to my class and we talked, and he was impressed with how I conducted the class, and he was like, hey man, we need to work on something one day. Our mutual friend said he spoke highly of me, and he would be willing to invest in some stuff that I'm doing or what I got going on. So a year went past and I got with him again. I was like, look, I have an idea, trying to get a station because everything is going towards streaming. I mean, if you look at NBC, for example, they have a streaming platform called Peacock.
Mm.
And, I can't remember who's Paramount. I don't know if CBS is Paramount or CBS. Yeah, CBS, I think is Paramount. Correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of people are going to streaming platforms now because everything is being, streamed. You get an app, it's on your phone, you're taking TV with you. So I wanted to do 100% internet based, which keeps the price down. Television network called Rick TV.
Okay. So, yeah, I can't help you in terms of any of this because it's all brand new for me, as you know. And I was scared to do this initially. I had a friend who contacted me, Margaret Hall, who, as you know, has come on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
And when she first contacted me, I said, no, I don't think I can do that. Because I just didn't necessarily see myself in this light. And she said, well, Steph, you already do this. You're having community conversations. That's all it is. And they want to give a voice to the Black community, and you have given that voice. And so why not just talk to them and figure it out? So I'm glad I did, obviously, at this point. And I wanted to talk to you to get an idea of the bigger vision that you have, because I've been, I'm going to say, a Roland Martin fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch every single episode, but I have watched episodes where I hear him talk about mainstream news networks and some of the experiences that people have had when they're on those networks. And he always says, there's nothing like owning your own, right? Having your own show, not being a part of someone else's show so you can unveil the vision, but for you, owning your own network. So what does that mean for you in terms of owning the network? Like, how do you get to the point where you own a network? And explain to not our listeners, but our viewers, because I've been making that mistake, but explain to our viewers, what's the difference between a podcast and all the other stuff that exists? And then what's the difference with you owning this network?
Okay. First question, owning the network. How do I feel about owning the network? And how do you own a network? Well, it's just like owning everything else. You just have the vision and then execute on the vision. You just start. My background was photography first, and I have a hybrid camera, so I can do video as well. So I just started shooting little videos and did a short film, I guess you can say a full film with an iPhone and one of my cameras, and just start piecing things together. I'm really 100% self-taught. So have a lot of books, and I have YouTube, like kids today. I mean, if I was to be able to go back in time, I would 10 years, 10, 15 years, I would give myself YouTube so I can have all this information that kids today just
right have at their fingertips.
They don't take advantage of it other than to look up funny stuff, or well, at least let me say, the children, the kids I know. But owning the station is just getting it together, organize it, and then the people like yourself who's gonna believe in the vision and give us a chance. We do Rick TV appreciate you for joining us, and we're still small right now. Just getting to a job. Well, actually, this station has helped me get a job at another major Christian station that's, helping me get better.
Right.
And the vision moving forward is to have a warehouse and build sets. So we're not on the viewing audience doesn't see, but we're actually on a green screen.
Right.
So, I want to build a set, and once I build a set, everything will just look much better. I can, take the cameras back farther and just, it'll look, nice.
Right.
Difference between second question was
Yeah.
between
So what's the difference between the podcast? Like, people have YouTube channels. This is an actual network. Like, can you break that down in simple terms?
A podcast back originally when podcasts came out, it was more audio based.
Okay.
But now these days, they're video based kind of too. You know, they're sitting there, but usually they're just sitting there with a microphone recording their audio, and then you can see them now. So people videotape their podcasts now too, but mostly podcasts are audio.
Okay.
And television networks, we're actually in. You can put your podcast, you can buy subscriptions to be on Amazon or Apple, iTunes, because
Okay.
I see a lot of podcasts on there, or you can just put it
So
on YouTube.
anybody can do this.
Anybody can do a
Okay.
podcast.
Okay.
You could take your iPhone right now and just start recording and then put an intro on it, and or don't even put an intro on it. Just say, "Hey, this is, Stephanie Kreider's
Okay.
podcast," and just put it out there with a picture or some kind of generic picture, and you can put it on YouTube. Which
Now I've had a lot of people say to me, "Congratulations on your podcast," and I kind of like, I don't think I have a podcast. I don't do the podcast thing, even though everybody thinks that I do.
Okay.
So tell them, what is the difference in terms of what we're doing?
Well, this is actually TV. We're available on Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV. Wait a minute. Yes, Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV. You'll have to download the app, the Rig TV app, or you can find us on rig.tv. So it's actually TV. When it comes on, it's coming on a schedule just like anything else. It comes on at 8:30. It's not an on demand. Podcasts are more on demand. I know I've been running episodes looped over and over and over, so it might appear to be on demand, but it's not on demand. It's deliberately running like that.
Okay.
But podcasts are more on demand whenever you want to hear it. And TV, it's going to be live TV. Like we're going to stream at 8:30. You come on at exactly 8:30, and you go off at 9 o'clock. Once things really, start running with other shows, somebody will have spots behind you, and like now, people have spots before you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically the difference between the TV and podcast.
And then who can we reach through Roku and, Apple TV? How far is that reach?
Roku had every new TV that's made now is going to come with Roku standard. It's going to be a Roku TV. Apple TV, you have the device, the Apple TV, the box, or you can have the Fire Stick, or they call Fire TV, and you could download the app from there. The reach between all of them, all of those services, is about 150 million.
Wow.
So about 50 million people, about 50 million people each have one of those. So in the combined, about 100 million.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of people that can be reached. And, we're trying to get, if you look at it that broadly, when you come out, I'm trying to get the station to where, of course, this is a Michigan, it's all over, but we're still using a Eastern Standard Time code.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to make it to where I promote more in the Eastern Central time zones where it's 1 hour off.
Okay.
And promote to those people as well instead of a broad, area. Just
Okay.
try to concentrate. Coming up in the future, we're going to concentrate on regions.
Okay.
So we're going to focus on Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, everywhere that's around like the East Coast area, straight down 75, where we can, reach these people. So at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 8:30, they're seeing you in real time, and not an hour before or an hour after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will we ever have the option to get on our cell phones and be able to watch this on our cell phones?
Well, right now, if you can go to rig.tv and pull it up,
Okay.
and it's on your cell phone.
Okay.
There's an option for me. I could invest into getting an app, but then going back to what Roland Martin was saying about where you putting your money and how you're investing, it really doesn't make any sense when you can pull it up right now online, instead of, having the app, because more people is just online looking at general stuff. That's why I put everybody's stuff on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to see it on demand, I put shows out a week later, they can go whenever they want to and see it on demand.
Okay.
Yep.
Listen, you brought up Roland Martin, so we have to talk about this. So there's been a lot of conversation about what's happening to some of the journalists who are on some of these networks. And we kind of live in a PC world these days, right? One of the things that I pride myself on is that I'm like 1,000% authentic all day, every day. Right. That's a lot for some people to handle, but I just feel like that's who I'm wired. That's who I'm called to be. And I have that freedom to do that, when I am here on this network. So what's your perception in terms of how these networks are, how our journalists are treated? Like, what's the benefit to someone coming on a RIC TV versus another network?
Well, the benefit is that since we're totally internet based, there's a lot of regulations that doesn't, cross over, from like a standard traditional platform with cable or radio. I let people control their own narrative. As long it's we're not disrespectful. The only thing that I want to censor on the network is anything that's going to be racist and hateful or
Vulgar.
some kind of violence, saying against somebody. Everything else is an open discussion, and we need to have these, open discussions. And, it's a lot of the quote unquote network TV. They want to play it safe. They have these advertisers and viewers that have these views, and they have to please them. I'm in a situation where I don't have to, nobody's bought, into RIC TV to make me say, hey, okay, you have to have this agenda or you have to do this agenda. No, I can put whatever I want to on the station, and that's where we have the advantage. So whatever you want to talk about, you can talk about.
Is it usually scripted for regular networks? I mean, I know that they have the earpiece, and I've heard people saying they're being told what to actually say when they're interviewing people. Is it relatively scripted?
Sometimes it's, those shows are scripted. Like they'll have their like if you had a guest on here, they'll have their um public relations person say, hey, okay, these are the questions you're gonna stick to here. I think we dealt with that a little bit. We touched on that. That happened recently. They'll say we're gonna talk about this, we're not gonna talk about that. So sometimes it is scripted, and sometimes they go off the cuff and, you know, people get angry.
Yeah.
So with this station, you can just say what you want to say. It's like I said, as long as you're being respectful, you don't want to do anything that's hurtful. But if you have an opinion, you should be able to have your opinion.
Right.
Without anybody challenging or silencing you about your opinion, because at RIC TV, your opinion is valued.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that when guests come here, they're pretty shocked when they come in and they're like, where are your note cards? Where's your script? And actually, prior to that, I have a conversation, like a really quick conversation, just to kind of, hey, we're in front of a green screen, here's what you should and shouldn't wear, sort of thing, and just make sure, they're comfortable with coming in. But there's no actual script. There's no teleprompter that's telling me what to say and telling them what to say. And people are genuinely shocked when they come in and they leave, and this is how it is. They're like, this is a for real conversation. I say, yeah, that's really what it's geared toward. And that's what I want to consistently keep, because I'm tired of fakeness. I'm tired of rhetoric. I'm tired of people posturing and us not being real with each other.
And you're doing a good job telling the people. Now, what's some of the things you tell people not to wear?
I know. And you're wearing green. I know. I thought about that too. I was like,
Jesus.
Should I crack on him? I was like, should I crack on him right now? But I was like, he'll figure it out.
Well, I can turn the screen blue and still do it. I realize I have green, but I have enough white on to wear. Oh, God. Okay.
But you know what's so crazy, though, is that you are self-taught, didn't know what you were doing. I had clearly no idea what I'm doing. And when people look at episode 1 to where we are now, I don't even know. Like, I think you've released what, maybe 16, 17
We're
episodes to
going
date?
tonight. It will be well, tomorrow will be 19.
Okay. That's like unreal. I mean, when you stop and you think about everything we've done,
Right.
and by the time we're at the end of 6 months, like the end of June, we'll be at like 26 episodes or something. That is insane.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
hard to
it is.
believe we've even done that many episodes. But I mean, when you take a look at episode 1 to where we are now, man, you've done an amazing job.
Thank
You really have. Like being able to walk with you through this journey, I feel much more comfortable. I mean, I had people reaching out like, I could see you fidgeting with your hands and you were really nervous, you know, and I at first I wouldn't even talk with my hands. I was like, I didn't know what to do. So I see growth in myself. I feel very comfortable, very free here. You've done an amazing job in terms of the quality of the way the image looks, and then even challenges with audio. We've learned a lot
Yes,
along the journey. So I hope you're proud of that.
I am. And speaking of episode 1, I never want to see episode 1 again. Episode 1 is episode 1. Okay. You know, and yes, I do see the growth of me working with it, and I appreciate you allowing me the chance
Mhm.
to work with it and get it better and finally find a green screen background that you like that will highlight, the show and the logo that you will see. We can't see it, but you'll see it back here.
Oh yeah.
So
And that logo is amazing, by the way. Which whoever reached out to Rick TV, I just want to thank you because when you mentioned the logo, Chris said, I need to start a product line. So I'm going to work on that. By the time the next season comes, we will have some kind of t-shirt or hats or something
cups,
that we can have.
keychains.
Yes, that we will have available. So I really appreciate whoever reached out to you for that. But I want to ask, do you have any favorite episodes that we've done? I know you've had a good time with some of the guests after the interviews, but which ones were your favorites?
I'm really bad with names, but the state police officer with the company
Harold Love,
Harold
Harold J. Love, yeah.
Tia Marie episode.
Which one? Because
Tina
she
with
came on
Tia
twice.
Marie
We
with
talked about education and the racial trauma in schools, and then she came back and
reparations
talked about
episode.
reparations. Okay.
I like that. That was very informative. Actually, I didn't like how I shot it, but actually episode 1, with Amy Mandel.
Yeah.
I remember Amy.
Yes.
I
Thank
like the
you to Amy
conversation.
for
I like the
giving us a shot.
conversation. That conversation needs to be, talked about, and a lot of networks will probably shun that conversation or not want you to say that. And the Richard Bernstein interview,
Yeah. Yeah.
the episode with Walter Kreider. Yes, your husband,
Yes.
Walter Kreider.
Yes.
That was a great episode. I'm a fan with, like I say, I don't really pay attention as I'm shooting because I'm worried about shooting, but I have to really be intimate with the episodes when I'm editing and listening to the sound and trying to get everything together with them. And I watch, it's like, oh, that's good, very informative, information. And I haven't seen a show like this. And you can just, feel free if your guests would want to answer the questions. Hey, they would ask away what you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I'm glad that I surrendered to my friend Margaret, that we were able to come in and partner and make this work. I mean, you have a vision. I'm now even foreseeing some of the things that I can do even with my own family because my husband, writes, and he's got a movie script, by the way, that we need to get out there. I've got one daughter who is illustrator and graphic designer, and another one who's a filmmaker in the making. So who knows where this will take us, but just wanted to make sure we brought you on, talk about Rick TV, and that I personally thanked you and introduced you to the viewing audience.
Well, I appreciate this today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to all of you who are watching this episode, I'll admit, I wanted to have Chris on for another reason too. And you all know me by now. I like to do a call to action. And one of the things that Chris does is he gives a platform and he gives an opportunity for us to talk about social justice, for us to talk about racial issues that maybe a lot of stations wouldn't allow us to freely talk about. But he also allows me to be free in terms of who I am as a believer, and that's something that's kind of infused in everything that I do in my everyday life. Like, I make no apologies for it. But I also did it for you. And here's what I mean. There are a lot of you who are at home who have had time to think about your dream and your vision. And like me and so many other people, you think you can't do it. Maybe you don't have anyone coaching you or teaching you. Chris learned how to do this on his own. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but I know that I've had a ton of people reaching out to me and saying, Steph, I really love this episode and it really resonated with me for this reason, or I'm going to share this with so-and-so who's going through the same thing. And so it's bigger than me. It's bigger than Chris. It's bigger than you. Whatever it is that you feel like you are called to do, I encourage you to just simply make the decision today. Step out and do it. If you're a writer, write. If you're a producer, produce. If you're a director, direct. Whatever it is, take the next step and do that. Send us a video, comment on one of our pages, and let us know that you took that step and you're going to go ahead and go for it. And maybe we can even share some of your work with other people. But I want to just personally thank you for being on this journey with us. Stay tuned. We're going to have a break in the summer, and we're going to choose some of Chris's favorite episodes, some of your favorite episodes, and we're going to play those throughout the summer when we're on break, and then we'll come back in September with new content. So once again, thank you. Go to our Facebook pages, Agape Social Justice, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, we're Agape Social Just. We do have a website as well for those of you who would like to financially support the work that we do. I do pay to bring content to the community. And so feel free. Thank you to all of my friends. Thank you to my allies, people I don't know who've trusted in me to bring you reliable information. Thank you for your financial contributions. And we look forward to what we're going to do next in next season. By the way, shoot me some ideas in terms of who you think I should bring on the show, some of the topics we should discuss. Maybe I haven't touched on some of the things you want to hear about yet. Let us know. We would love to have it. And then when we have our product line together, I really would appreciate if you would purchase some of our merch, share the information with your family and friends, and then that way we can kind of create this movement that I want to start with the Agape Social Justice family. So again, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Make sure you share this episode with somebody else. And if you know someone who's interested in Rick TV and they want to learn more about how they can do something like this, hit Chris up. Like, he's on social media. You'll find Rick TV on Instagram, and they're sharing other episodes of other hosts who are on the network. So make sure you reach out to him as well. I appreciate Chris Crawford. I appreciate Rick Williams, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.